First and foremost, what people need to understand is personal credit, the most important three-digit number that a consumer can have. Just missing one late payment, because it's 35% of the overall makeup of your credit score. 1 month can mess everything up. You can be consistent for 12 months straight, and that 1 month, life happens, right? Things happen. We understand the economic landscape that we're in, so people are losing their jobs, they're not getting enough income, we understand that. But there's always a solution.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the Lalwani Lounge. I'm your host B.A.G. Lalwani, and today we have with us Darius Brown from Brown Assets Group. We've had an amazing conversation about credit scores and why should we care about it, what affects our credit scores, how can we make it better, and what are some of the uses of having a good credit score. So enjoy the show. Hey D, how's it going? I have been wanting to have you on my podcast for a very, very long time. Me and the Naughty Guy actually spoke about you the last time he was here, and I've been wanting to have you. So thank you for making some time for me, and
Appreciate you for having me, man.
Of course, and welcome to the Lalwani Lounge.
Yes, indeed, man. It's lovely in here, man. I feel like kicking my feet up right now.
Do it. I'm glad that I got to have this conversation with you right now is because of the whole economy down in the dumps right now.
Right.
So I just wanted to understand the current situation of certain things and how I could either take advantage of what we have going on or help myself from drowning, basically.
I like that.
I know you do. You help a lot of people with their credit and cleaning it up and helping them with various fundings and this and that. Can you start me off with like something very simple? What is a credit score and why should I even care about it?
For sure. Well, first and foremost, what people need to understand is personal credit, the most important three-digit number that a consumer can have, right? It's a three-digit number that lenders, banks, they use to determine whether you're a liability or an asset. So if you're looking to take out a personal loan or a business loan, that's what they're looking at.
Okay. And so in terms of this three-digit number, right? Mm-hmm. I also feel that there are other places, like there was once a time where I heard that somebody got denied a rental apartment because their credit score was not okay. What has that got to do with bank being able to give you a loan?
Solid question. So essentially, a lot of consumers are focused on their credit score, not understanding that their credit score is not the determining factor. It's actually a consumer's credit report. So your credit profile determines a consumer's credit score. So lenders are assessing your credit profile to see exactly if you're a liability, if you're an asset, right? Understanding payment history, understanding utilization, understanding length of history, right? Credit mix, new lines of credit. These are what we call data points. So if I'm a lender and you're coming inside of my bank wanting to get a loan, that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at those data points on your credit profile to determine, okay, is AJ responsible enough to be able to obtain this loan?
Okay, so you mentioned these data points. Mm-hmm. What are some, like maybe one or two data points that affect my credit very terribly?
Great question. Payment history, which is 35% of a consumer's credit score, right? That's 35%. So one late payment, let's say if I have an auto loan and I miss my auto loan by 15 days, that can drop my credit score 50 to 120 points. Just missing one late payment, because it's 35% of the overall makeup of your credit score, right?
Wow.
So if it's 100% and payment history is 35%, that's a big chunk, right? And then utilization. A lot of people are like, man, I'm paying my bills on time, I'm paying my credit card on time, but are you paying the minimum balance on your credit card? So let's say, for example, the banks say 30%. Brown Assets Group, we always say keep your utilization around 10% or under every billing cycle. So if utilization is 30% and you're at 60%, what's going to happen to your credit score? It's going to tank significantly because it's 30% of the overall makeup of your credit score. So if you have a minimum balance of $50, don't pay $50. Pay $100, double it. right? And break it up within that billing payment. What we tend to tell our clients is, let's say if your statement date is on the 15th of every month, right? And your statement closing date is on the 23rd. You want to make a payment 3 days before your statement date, and then another payment 3 days before your statement closing date. So to the creditors, it looks like AJ made 2 consecutive payments within the same billing cycle, which is going to significantly increase someone's credit score.
Wow, that's
I'm
interesting.
giving, I know, all right, I'm giving a lot of game too early.
That's fine. That's fine. This is why we're here, right? To learn. One of my friends suggested is to pay off most of your bill right before your statement closes. So in that way, when the bill generates, it's not a big amount. It's a significantly lower amount,
Right.
which kind of is to make sure that you're below 10% whenever it's reported. I'm guessing they report the bill, right, for the month or something.
Whatever that balance is.
Right.
Yeah.
So if I pay 70-80% of it before my cycle closes, so it won't show up as a bill, like a
Exactly.
huge amount, right?
Exactly, and that's why a lot of consumers are frustrated. They're like, I've been at a 580 for like 6 months and I'm paying my credit card on time every month. Well, you have to understand that utilization percentage is a big factor. Like if they're reporting a high utilization percentage every single billing cycle, your score is just doing this. But what we have is, so to help our clients, because we understand that the biggest expense in life is what we don't know, right? So what we decided to do, Brown Assets Group and our team decided to do, is built in what we call a simulator system. And this simulator allows our clients to see all of their credit card debt, right? By the way, viewers, all debt is not bad debt. It's how you utilize the debt, right? Wealthy people understand this. So with understanding where you're at with your credit card debt and understanding within this simulator, you can play around with this simulator, and it's a cool feature where you can scroll the simulator over and it will show you the dollar amount that you need to pay on each one of your credit cards, and then it will also show you your next score increase. So let's just say I have an Amex card, right? And my next due date is on the 25th. Well, if I pay that recommended balance, then it's going to show me when my next score increase will be on the following date. So if the next score increase is on, let's say, September 25th, that next score update will be October 2nd. And it will show me, let's say, for example, if you pay this dollar amount, AJ, your next score increase will be 75 points on October 2nd.
Wow.
Consumers gonna be, wait a minute. Like, if I pay this dollar amount, do you mean to say my score is going to increase 75 points like 7 days after? Absolutely. And a lot of consumers don't understand that because they're so accustomed to paying the minimum balance.
So does 1 month of, say, either bad payment or bad decisions, or maybe applying for a new credit card, significantly affect the score, even if everything else for years has been consistently good?
1 month can mess everything up. You can be consistent for 12 months straight, and that 1 month, life happens, right? Things happen. We understand the economic landscape that we're in. So people are losing their jobs, they're not getting enough income. We understand that, but there's always a solution, right?
Okay.
I always tell clients, you can't hit a target that you can't see. So don't dwell on the problem. If an unforeseen circumstances happen with your finances, identify it, right? Strategize, organize, come up with a game plan, speak with a professional and expert that understands and has your best interest at heart to give you that roadmap to get you back on track, right? We've all been there, but it's all about providing you with a realistic roadmap and getting the client back on track to achieving their goals.
Okay. So 1 month can ruin everything, but so when it comes to like cleaning up the credit or coming back on track,
Right.
what is an average that you would say, like how much time does it usually take to come back on track?
Great question. So everyone's situation is different, right? So essentially, we never set false expectations with our client, right? And what we do is we offer what we call a comprehensive credit analysis. This allows us to be able to see, okay, for example, AJ was late this 1 month. It dropped his score significantly. They are now reporting some derogatory remarks on his credit report. Let's see how we can help him. Let's show AJ what Brown Assets Group can do for him before he decides to commit to the program. And we do it that way. Number one, again, we're here to just provide the information and the knowledge. So I always explain to our team that it's our responsibility to give them the information, and it's their responsibility on what they do with the information. And once we give you that roadmap, now you have some clarity, you have the roadmap, and you're ready to get back on track with improving your credit and your finances.
Okay, so it's different for different people. There's no
It's different for different
average
people.
or anything.
Yeah. So essentially, like, our clients start seeing results within the first 30 to 45 days.
Oh, that quick.
Oh, super quick.
So if you can ruin your credit-ish in like a month or so, but in like a couple of months you can still come back on track.
Absolutely.
Without being denied home loans or without being denied apartments or whatever.
Absolutely. However, it's all contingent upon what's on your credit.
Right.
Like if it's a late payment, we can get that removed, right? Quickly, fairly quickly. Now, if it's something like a bankruptcy or like a charge-off collection account with, let's say, JP Morgan or Discover, then we advise the potential client, you need to give us at least 3 to 6 months. Because a lot of people don't understand that if I have a bank account or a credit card that went into a default status, and let's say JP Morgan charges this debt off, they say, you know what, we tried our luck, we're going to charge this off. Now it's on a consumer's credit report. That can take some time. Now we've seen it where, hey, clients are like, all right, I'll give it 6 months. And we set that expectation and say, hey, at least 6 months. But there's been times where we're able to get it off the first 60 days, right? We need to understand that credit repair is a legal process, right? It's a legal process. It's one of those things where it's like, we don't work for the credit bureaus, we work for our client. So when we are attacking these derogatory items, what we're doing is we're saying, hey, creditor, hey, credit bureaus, you guys violated our client's consumer rights, and by law, we're going to dispute these items legally to ensure that our client gains their buying power. So there's different tactics and strategies that we have implemented within our system to ensure that our client gets the best results.
Okay, I was just about to ask you, like, is all of this actually legal? Like the way you're describing it, like a client comes to you and you help them clean their credit.
Mm-hmm.
So and you're saying that it's a legal process, and you basically represent them in front of these credit bureaus to handle their situation?
Correct.
Okay.
Absolutely. So our client, all they need to do is trust the process.
Okay.
Right. But understand that it's a legal process.
Okay.
Right? So when we are conducting the initial analysis, we're letting them know, okay, this is what we've identified on your credit report. Based off what we've identified, this is how long it's going to take for us to clean up these derogatory remarks. And if they say, cool, and we get it, we live in a microwave era, if that makes sense. So they start getting anxious after the first 30 to 45 days, and they're blowing up our lines, and they're like, okay, have I gotten results? Understand, people, credit repair is a legal process, but also understand that by law, we have to give the credit bureaus up to 60 days to respond to our disputes, right? Okay. So let's say you start in our program today, September 12th, right? We have to give them 60 days from the time we sent out your initial disputes. Does that make sense?
Right, it does.
But the reason what sets Brown Assets Group apart is we're not waiting the 60 days to get a response. We're attacking them every 30 days, and that's how we're able to get those results and those responses as quickly as possible. So,
okay, nice. So in terms of now that we're talking about kind of fixing the credits, right? Is there a way that we can ensure that we don't go in that direction? Like, do we set up reminders on our cell phones, or do we mark on our calendars, like, this is the day I need to do this, or like create an Excel sheet, or is there a tool out there that can, help make sure that people don't default to begin with? Like, prevention is better than cure, right?
Yes, prevention is better than, yes, absolutely. I always tell people, and country, right? We weren't taught financial literacy. Majority of I'm African American, right? So I'll start with my culture and my demographic. We were not taught financial literacy. We were not taught the power of credit. So if you were not taught and you're oblivious to it, it's like, all right, well, I don't need credit. You don't need credit until you need credit. Makes sense. So what I suggest, and this is why we were big on the educational piece. So first, pull your credit. And I get it, because I was once there, right? I was once there where I was afraid to check my credit report, right? Coming out of college, I'm like, shit, I know I got student loans. I know I have all this on my credit. So people are like, you should check your credit. I'm like 19, 20 years old, you should check your credit. I don't want to check my credit. So a lot of people have what we call financial trauma, where it's like, I've been through too much with my finances, with my credit. I'm afraid. I don't want to see reality, if that makes sense. And again, you can't hit a target that you can't see. So if I'm oblivious to it and I don't know what's on my credit, I guarantee you, AJ, not to derail too off topic, you have an inaccuracy on your credit report and you don't know.
I probably do, yeah.
The average consumer has at least one inaccuracy on their credit report that they are oblivious to because they don't check their credit. All of our clients, we educate them to check their credit every single day. And to answer your question, how to do that, get a reputable credit monitoring provider, right? So Brown Assets Group, we're partnered with the credit provider, Dynamic. This is where our built-in simulator system is. This is where we show our clients their 3-bureau credit report and scores with each credit bureau, right? TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. And by doing that, number one, it gives you some clarity on where you're at. Number two, the biggest thing people negate, being a victim of identity theft. Just think about you bust your butt working on your credit, on your finances, and then you find out that you've been a victim of identity theft. It happened to me. It happened to me. Someone tried to take out a $350,000 home loan out in my name.
Wow.
Thank God that I have identity insurance. And all of our clients, by the way, they get up to $1 million in identity theft protection within our program. Because we want to ensure, while we're building your credit, getting you back on track, that you're protected, right? So that's the first thing. Get your a reputable credit monitoring provider. Check your credit. Treat your credit like your adult report card, because that's exactly what it is. The lenders are looking like, hey, is AJ responsible enough? Has he established good faith with us so he can take our money? And they want you to take their money because they're trying to dish this out. They want to give us money, but we have to establish good faith first.
Okay, so two questions that came out of that. One, do you recommend everybody get like an identity theft protection?
Yep. Every 2 to 3 seconds, someone's identity is being stolen across the globe, not just the country. Every 2 to 3 seconds. I just said that 2-3 times. 500,000 people's identity was just stolen right now.
Wow.
Every 2 to 3 seconds.
Damn.
That's scary when you think.
Yeah, it is.
When you see the statistics on that's the number one crime is identity theft. Dark web, people hacking into. That's why a lot of people, when you shop online, when you see those things whether you're on TikTok or Instagram, you see, oh, I want to go ahead and patronize this company. I'm going to go ahead and put my credit card and debit card information. But if you're not careful, you have these hackers in the dark web taking your identity, taking your information. So we're going to ensure that we plug your information within the identity theft protection program so you don't become a victim.
Okay. Wow. All right. So now in my head, I'm trying to think. Oh, wait. So when Google or somebody says like, "Hey, your passwords are not strong enough. Do something about it," you should. Sort of do something about it. Because I'm like, this is the only password I remember. Right. And it says it's been compromised. Somebody else already has this password.
Yeah.
So I should probably change that.
Change it, yeah.
Note to self.
Yeah, change it to self. Yeah. Don't choose a strong password. Like they give you the two options. Do you want to select their password? No, choose your own password. And I always recommend changing your password every 3 months.
Okay.
across the board. Bank accounts, mobile banking apps, all of that. Change it every 2 to 3 months around the clock.
Who's gonna remember so many
Put
passwords?
it in your notes on your phone. Put it in your notes.
Okay.
Yeah, your notes. That's what the notes are there for. Like, put it there. And I don't even trust where, you know how like on your laptop or your like mobile devices where it can automatically recognize because it's your device.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even trust that. I just every time I have to log in, I'm logging in as if it was a new time user. Just because you want to dot your I's and cross your T's.
Right. So that if somebody gets access to your laptop, they don't get access to your life.
Right.
Just because it's like, oh, trusted computer.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Well,
Just different tactics just to keep you protected. That's
okay.
all, yeah.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
And the second thing that you mentioned was banks want to make sure they give you the money. Now, if banks are trying to give you the money, I'm sure they're making interest on it, of course, right? They're trying to make money off the money that was already put in by somebody else in their banks. Essentially, they're making money on somebody else's money, right? But why should we borrow this money?
Great question. Oh man, I like that. I like that. Great question. You want to borrow their money to not use your own liquid, right? Like if I have, let's say, $500,000 in liquid, and I have this big project that I want to fulfill, in addition to scaling my business, logically I'm thinking, okay, let me leverage my credit to use their money and not touch my own personal liquid, and let me rinse and repeat that. And this is one of the reasons why now, thanks to COVID, there are a lot of entrepreneurs out there. People left their 9-to-5s and now they are entrepreneurs, business owners. So now what do they want to do? They want to build business credit. So now by building business credit, they can start leveraging their business credit so it doesn't reflect on their personal credit, right? And with business credit, here's the thing. You get, well, either or, business or personal. You receive better financing options. The higher your credit score is on both sides, personal and business, you get lower APR interest rates, right? So there's so many different benefits by leveraging your credit and using their money. Like we have access up to $2 million for our clients on both the personal and business side. So let's say, for example, AJ comes to Brown Assets Group and says, hey, I have this project. I need $250,000. We look at your personal credit, it's substantial because they're going to revert back to your personal credit. They're not going to necessarily pull it, they're just going to check it. Hey, let me just ensure, all right, okay, he's cool on the personal credit. Business credit, solid. All right, I know you want $250,000, AJ, but we're going to give you $500,000. Either business loan or LLC.
You're saying they'll give me more loan than I asked for?
Yeah. If your business credit, your personal credit is solid, substantial, you may go in the bank thinking I just need 250, but they're like, no, like, dude, we want to give you this money, and as long as you're responsible, right? As long as you have that financial literacy, guess what they're going to do? Not only give it to you, but now you're going to say, I know exactly what to do with this to 10x it, to pay that back. Rinse and repeat and keep it going. And this is what the wealthy people have been doing for years. Wealthy people leverage their credit, man. I promise you.
So what you're saying is like, for example, if I have an investment somewhere that's giving me 7% interest, right? Like in dividends or maybe whatever, like if it's a mutual fund or whatever, right? Or I have it in ETF and, you know, like S&P 500 or whatever, that's giving me 7% overall, right? And if I can get a personal loan for 5%, it will be a good idea, or one of the ideas. I'm not a financial advisor. Please do not take my financial advice.
Disclaimer.
This is just for understanding purposes.
Yes.
So I could essentially take a loan at 5%, put it in the market, get 7% on it, return that entire money with the 5%, and make 2% on top of somebody else's money.
On somebody else's money, 100%.
Okay, so that could go anywhere, right? So if I already have a house, I can take a personal loan, build it out, and then sell it at a higher value to return the money and make some money on it.
And make some money. That's
right.
Yeah. So we always say, get into a recession-proof business, right? Real estate, hospitality, like the financial space, right? Again, like he said, we're not financial advisors, right? I'm a credit repair guy, but Yes, you want to invest in something that is lucrative, right? You want to, okay, how can this be sustainable with the economic landscape that we're in, where it's not going to affect the bottom line? That's the ultimate goal. And getting into that and investing and say, okay, dude, my money is now working for itself, right? As long as your money's working for itself while you're investing the other dividends into other avenues, you're in the game,
Right?
And we're just playing the game. Like growing up, I'm pretty sure you used to like playing Monopoly, right?
Yes.
That's the first stage as a kid. We're playing Monopoly. We're like, okay, how can I take as much of this property, much of this board as possible to capitalize, right? To create cash flow.
Right.
And starting with that is your credit. Leverage that credit.
To build more assets. So essentially, one of the suggestions is that you take, if you're taking a loan, it should be for an asset and not for a liability.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. That's why I say all debt is not bad debt. It's how you utilize it.
Okay.
Unfortunately, and I just have to call a spade, guys. Like with social media, a lot of people are living this facade of living above their means, right? They get some money and they're not used to having money. So what they're doing is they're spending it on things that's not going to make them money in return. They're spending things that's not conducive to the bottom line, and that's creating more cash flow.
Right.
They're just wanting to go to Lenox or Phipps Plaza, buy that Kelly bag or buy the latest trend of clothing, and then they look back and they're in this hamster wheel because they were not responsible.
Right.
They were financially ignorant, right, to saying, wait a minute, I have this. Let me take it and invest into something that's lucrative that can make me money. Like, boom. It's not rocket science, but
right.
I get it. You know, you're so accustomed to doing something for so long, and you just want to impress people that you don't like in the first place.
Right.
All right, I'm going off the deep end.
I was just about to ask you, do you think they're trying to impress other people or they're trying to impress themselves?
I mean,
or
I strongly feel like people are impressing people that they don't like, essentially. Mm-hmm. Right? Just to put it on the gram, just to put it on. And this is just real because even in my mentorship program, we talk about it a lot with my students on, like, what are you going to do with this money? If our investors were to give you this money, like, and this is why they ask when you go inside of a bank asking for anything over $100,000, $250,000, what are they going to ask for? They're going to ask for a business plan. They want to know, like, all right, is AJ serious about taking this money and doing something positive with it and not digging himself in a deeper rabbit hole of saying, well, damn, 6 months later, he then went bankrupt. Like, makes sense? So, we're just giving you the blueprint and giving you that roadmap to ensure, man, have fun, enjoy the fruits of your labor, but just be responsible doing it. And that just goes back to your credit. Like, if we help you with your credit, don't come back to us 6 months later and say, hey, I fucked my credit up again, excuse my French, but just calling it for what it is. Like, we don't want you to come back to Brown Assets Group. We want you to learn from the program and flourish and take that information and what we call exercising group economics. We want you to take that information that you learn and don't be a gatekeeper. Give the information away.
Right. So of course the bank wants its money back. So I understand why they want to make sure that you have the ability to pay it back, right, and not investing in or not buying stuff that will cause you to go bankrupt someday.
Right.
On that note, like, is there a way where is there like a sweet spot? So say for example, I'm making maybe $1,000 a month in profits for whatever. It could be through my investments, it could be my salary, it could be anything. Right. So now I have this $1,000 that, apart from my mortgage or my rent or whatever, right? That's my net profit per month. Now, what do you recommend in terms of, like, if I still want to buy the good stuff, I want to travel, I want to do all of these things. So what would be like a good balance, say, to savings to spend ratio of whatever I have left?
Great question. So identify your expenditures, right? And then implement a monthly budget. This is why a lot of people are living paycheck to paycheck, because they don't have a monthly budget. They're just swiping. like you mentioned, you have that $1,000 left over. Your friends may call you, hey, let's go out tonight, AJ, or you're accustomed to doing whatever with that money that you will never see again. And it's like, wait a minute, if I have a budget in place, right, and I'm disciplined enough to say, okay, I have this 1,000, let me invest this 1,000 somewhere where I know based off of what I'm going to invest it in, that it can at least get me 2% on top of the initial investment, at least once a month, every single month. And then as it continues to grow, and this is why a lot of people say, be your own bank, right? Like, invest into something that can make you money in your sleep. Where if you're focusing on, I don't know, your podcast or whatever have you, you're not being interrupted by that initial investment compounding over a period of time. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Like, it's like you're literally, that's the biggest, that's the goal. The goal is to make money while you sleep, right? So for example, what I did was, and I'm probably answering your questions because I do this so much, man. I love what I do, by the way. But what I did, how we got in the industry was we bought our first home. We took the equity out because we refinanced 6 months after we bought the home. So when we sold, during the pandemic, by the way, we sold the house December 2020. So it was in the middle of the pandemic. We took that equity, and then what I started doing was creating digital products.
Okay.
Ebooks. Like, how can I create something where once I create it one time, it will make me money for the rest of my life? Right? Got all of my kids, mutual, Ohama life insurance policies, you name it. I got everything. I took that money and then we started investing into real estate, my wife and I. All right? So I'm like, all right, let's sit back. While we're building out our business, let that money build over a period of time. So when I started to see that it was working while we were improving on our credit and fixing our own credit, we were like the test dummies, if you will. And we realized that, wait a minute, this shit really works. We were like, there's no way possible that we are going to keep this valuable information to ourselves, right? So that's how we were able to say, you know what? We have a passion for this. And by the way, my wife and I, we come from the property management industry. My wife served in the property management industry for 14 years, right? She started in Miami, where she's from, moved here. I was in the industry for 7 years. So we would have monthly meeting calls with these owners, multiple 8-figure earners, and we're round table discussions, and we're picking their brain on what they do. Like the multifamily industry is a complete game changer, right? And real estate will never die.
Right.
Never die. So where I'm getting at is understanding where you're at, be realistic about where you're at, right? If you have a plan, stick with it and just be disciplined and talk to someone, get a mentor, get around people that are smarter than you, that are more successful than you. And I promise you, if you do that, man, you'll see a major difference in the next 6 months for sure.
Right. So what you're saying is that you actually had bad credit and you fixed your own credit, which led you to...
I had shitty credit.
Okay.
Yeah, shitty credit.
I was trying to put it mildly.
Yeah, shitty credit. I had shitty credit.
So that's where this inspiration for Brown Assets Group came from, is you doing this for yourself and your wife.
Yep. And my daughter, our daughter at the time, our daughter was about 3 at the time, 4 years old at the time. And so we bought our home. We didn't know anything about the home buying process. And we were impulsive. I was like 25 at the time. We were super impulsive. We just wanted to get our family in a home. We were staying with a family member at the time. And we were like, you know what? While we're with a family member, we're going to stack our money. We're going to stack. And that's exactly what we did. We got into the home, but we bought the home. I'm going to ask you, where do you think our credit score was when we bought our home?
Based on what you're saying, maybe like 400?
Not that low.
Okay, not that low. All right, so somewhere in like 550, 600s?
580.
580,
Yeah.
okay.
Because at the time, FHA, 580 was the minimum, right?
Right.
So we were like, okay, 580, that's all we need. All right, cool. FHA, 3.5% down. Cool. This is what our realtor and the lenders were saying. Cool. Not knowing that the underwriters were like, wait a minute, this person has student loans that are in default, and at the time we weren't checking our credit.
Right.
So they were like, okay, they're forceful to get into this home. All right, cool. Let's give them the loan. Now, mind you, we went through 3 different mortgage companies. The first mortgage company was like, no, there's no way we're going to take a risk on this couple. Second one was like, all right, pre-approval letter, pre-qualification. We're like, oh, we're on our way. And then the underwriters was like, no. And then that last mortgage company was like, you know what? We'll give them a chance. So we're excited. We're super excited. We get into the home, long story short, man, and I ended up finding out, me being analytical, I said, let me do some research. Come to find out, our neighbor across the street was paying $900 less than what we were paying for the same exact house.
Wow.
$900. Light bulb clicked. I said, oh my gosh, 580 credit score. I said, all right, babe, we talked about it. I said, we are going to refinance on this house. Why did we do that? At the time, the house was in Loganville. Loganville is a hot market right now, by the way. I said, we're going to refinance, we're going to build equity, and we'll see where we go. Well, we didn't know that because we took an FHA, that we had what they call PMI, property mortgage insurance, right? So now, because Loganville is quickly rising, property value goes up, which means PMI goes up, which means our monthly mortgage goes from, I'll tell you, $1,700 a month to $2,100 a month.
That's a huge jump.
And this was back in 2017.
Right.
Right? So I'm like, whoa. They didn't tell us this. They didn't tell us this during the process. They were just like, they're impulsive. They just want to get in this home.
Right.
So I said, we ended up, put it like this, we were house broke. We were house broke to where it was so bad where we couldn't even fully furnish our house. So we're homeowners and we can't even afford to furnish our home, right? So I said, all right, it was stressful. I was like, man, we're going to work to simply just pay for this monthly mortgage. So we made a conscious decision to move out, rent the house out. It was so bad, AJ, where when we rented it out, we were still having to come out of pocket $300. So the tenants were paying $18, we were coming on top of $300. So but at the time we were thinking like, this is not an investment. We're supposed to be making money while these tenants are in it. But we didn't know that we were building equity still.
Mm-hmm.
So at the time, our realtor, we were like, we're firing you, man. We fired him because we were like, you didn't have our best interest at heart. You should have educated us. You should have told us exactly what we were getting ourselves into. And he didn't. So we hired someone else, and she was like, look, guys, sell the home. You're in the middle of the pandemic, sell it. So that's exactly what we did. We sold December 2020, and I'm a little hurt because, oh man, we bought that home, $265. That house right now is worth $600,000.
Wow. I mean, that's the thing about the housing market, right? It's always like on an average, always going up. I've also noticed like a lot of people are too quick, just like you are, like too impulsive, because like I think there's this propaganda of like the American dream that you have to own a home for you to even talk to other people about anything. Absolutely. Right? Like you have to get a job, you have to be educated, and you have to own a home. Right? I know a lot of people that took their time, including myself, to own a home until like we were ready to own a home. I bought my house when I was 33.
Okay.
So that's when I actually owned my first home. Not that I did not have the money for it, but I just wasn't comfortable based on everything else that was going on in my life, right? You have the student debt, you have this debt, you have that debt, and I also, send money home back in India, all of that, right? So there are responsibilities, but again, my dad did a very good job in teaching me how to manage my finances, which I had another guest on the show called Daniela, and she and I also discussed this, that, people don't talk about financial education. That's why I'm so happy that you're here with me and I can actually talk to somebody about this. So yeah, financial literacy is. I said that wrong.
You're good.
Financial literacy is very important, and I'm glad that you're doing what you're doing in educating people on these topics.
Absolutely.
So when you took an impulsive decision, but according to you, what would you suggest would be like a good time to actually buy real estate, or for first-time home buyers, right? And somebody who wants to make it a primary residence.
Absolutely.
Right? You were still making rent on it, but what if somebody's not making rent on it? They're actually living in it. So like the asset is kind of like a liability while they're in the house until they actually realize the value of the house. What would you recommend would be a good time or a good financial situation for them to be in to buy a house?
Great question. So first time home buyers, you want to ensure that your credit is substantial, right? Economic landscape, it's different from 2015 till 2024. The economic landscape, the housing market is totally different, right? Interest rates is anywhere between 5 to 7% right now, right? Get your credit as high as possible, over 720, right? Gives you better financing options. Have your down payment. They have grants out there if you need some extra assistance, but don't fall for the zero down payment plan because you're going to get bit in the ass on the back end. Trust me. And you'll know that, hey, I'm ready. Like you said, you knew, okay, because you were taught financial literacy from your dad, you knew. And you were one of the fortunate ones, because a lot of people, they weren't taught, right? And I think we should exercise that and make that a normality within our households, especially if you have children, right? But yes, make sure your credit is right. Make sure you have your down payment. And this is what a lot of people don't talk about. We're actually doing a workshop, me and my wife, tomorrow. And we're going inside of a brokerage firm, and we're going to educate like realtors and the brokers, and just creating this ecosystem to educate them as well. But a lot of people don't talk about this, AJ, and that's ensuring when you're about to become a first-time home buyer that you have an honorable realtor and an honorable broker, right? Like, this is so key, because we've seen it where these realtors, they just look at their client as a transaction. They're not truly guiding them and educating them to ensure this is going to be one of the biggest investments, if not the biggest investment of your life. We want to ensure that you do it the right way, and when you get into that home, that you know you and your family made the best decision.
Okay. Do you get a lot of people that come to you saying, "Oh shit, I got fucked over by my real estate agent"?
We were one. Not as often, because our ecosystem, our team of business affiliates, realtors, brokers, they do things with integrity, right? They're big on helping the client. Now, we do have some that will reach out, that may have found us on social media, or someone may have provided them our contact info. And yes, they were like, listen, our realtor didn't give us this, or they didn't give us this piece of information, and now I can't get into my home. I was this close to the closing table, now I can't get in. But we also got to hold ourselves accountable to say, hey, I should have did my due diligence as far as educating myself during the process, right? Yeah, your realtor should be giving you that roadmap and the guidance, right? But it's also your responsibility to ensure that, hey, you're doing the right thing and educating yourself, so you don't get caught behind the 8 ball.
Right, makes sense.
Yeah.
That's a lot of good information. So if you were to give me or any person advice in terms of understanding their credit and making better credit related decisions, what would be that one advice you would give somebody?
Fix your credit ASAP if you need to. If you have bad credit, if you have shitty credit, right? Get your credit in order ASAP, right? And once you do that, treat your credit score like your social security number. And what do I mean by that? Like, your social security number is one of those valuable numbers that you have. That's how you're able to live, survive, get a place, whatever, right? Travel, maneuver around this thing we call life, right? Your credit score should be should be treated just as such, right? Because with your credit score, you can truly break down financial barriers. And a lot of people, they play with it because they don't realize how powerful it is. Like, once you get your buying power back and you realize, like, damn, I wish I would have took action. And here's the reality. A lot of us have the information at our fingertips. A lot of us that you're hearing this right now, you've heard it before.
Right.
Maybe in a different way, but you've heard it before. But what I found out is, being in this industry for almost 6 years, a lot of us are curious on information, but we're allergic to execution. What do I mean by that? Like, you'll come to Brown Assets Group, you'll ask for the information, you'll ask for the guidance, and once we give it to you, you procrastinate. You don't do anything with the information. No, you have to execute on the information. And if you execute on it, it works, you'll start seeing. So I think we can be our biggest downfall as far as, like, hey, I got it, I have the resources, I have the information, now it's up to me to execute on it. So that would be another advice. Once you get the resources in that roadmap, take advantage of it and act on it as soon as possible. Because right now, man, let's say people are getting laid off their jobs, and if you don't have at least 12 months of liquid saved up, hey, but if I have my credit and I'm a business owner, right, but I was just laid off my 9 to 5, let me go to the bank and take and use their money and invest in something, right? Now you're not stressing yourself out. Make sense?
Yeah, it does. So you have some food on the table as well.
Food on the table. Pay your bills. You
Right.
don't go bankrupt.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. It was such a great episode. A lot of good information. And I guess it's time to land the plane. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
and hope to see you again on the show. Thank you so much.